Hey, Gary. How are you, sir?
Commissioner.
How's the wife?
Okay, let's get
You good?
started.
How's
The
dog?
workshop meeting of the Park District of Highland Park is called to order at 6:01 p.m. Kathy, please call the roll.
Commissioner Bernstein?
Here.
Commissioner Flores Weisskopf will not be in attendance tonight. Commissioner Grossberg?
Here.
Vice President Ruttenberg?
I'm here.
And President Kaplan.
I'm here as well. We have a quorum. I have one addition to the agenda. Does anybody else have anything? Jeff Smith is going to talk to us about the ravines.
Why don't you explain Liza's absence, by the way,
Oh.
Executive Director?
Yeah, we should go in order.
Yeah.
We can put it at the bottom, I think.
All right, we'll put it at the bottom. Liza McRoy has the flu and bronchitis and will not be here tonight. We wish her a speedy recovery. Well, we're not on camera. Oh. She's not listening.
Wow, harsh. That's
I've
harsh.
talked to her 5 times today.
Let's make a note of that comment.
That's okay.
You put that in the minutes?
That's fine.
We wish you a speedy
I
recovery.
wish her a speedy recovery, but we're not on camera, so going in order, Sunset Valley Golf Course Clubhouse renovation update, A-period landscape plan. Brian Romes and Mike Evans to present.
Is this not called the Bernstein plan?
No, it's the Mike Evans, Brian Rome's plan.
Yeah, well, as you're all aware, we completed the golf course renovation this past fall, and now we have the construction documents for our clubhouse. So the next plan that we have been working on is the landscaping plan to specifically address the areas, the entrance to the golf course, the parking lots, the cart barn, and the clubhouse itself. So we got together with our planning department, Dan Voss, Jeff Smith, and Mike over here, who was our landscape architect. And Mike Evans put together a landscape plan that details the specific areas and the specific species that are being recommended to put in this plan. So the way we developed this plan was the golf team got together, so Ryan Oakes, of course, Rob and Cole and Kathy, Liza, myself, with the planning team, and we walked all the areas numerous times and worked with Mike, and Mike has put together a nice plan that he's going to give you tonight, a visual representation of what you can expect it to look like, and so you'll have that, and any questions that you have, I know Mike should hopefully be able to answer for you. So I will turn it over to Mike.
Thanks, Brian, for the introduction. Again, these are just some conceptual plans for the landscaping around the clubhouse. Let's see if this is working. I'm going to refer to this plan. There's 6 different areas, and this is the overall site plan that you see on your screen. So I'm going to go area by area. The first area, obviously, is number 1, which is the cart barn area. You'll see, and I'll kind of go in and out here. On the left side, you'll see some existing photos that we took in the snow. I'll start up at the northeast corner. There's a screen here that you can see in the upper left-hand photo that needs to be screened. And so we propose to put some arborvitae in front of that. Along the west side, we have some trees from Pogo that are only about 6 feet tall, and so we chose to transplant those to save some money to bring them over on this side. If you can see the west side, how it slopes up, the 6 foot tree should be sufficient to cover that whole area. On the east side, we chose a number of different species. Again, we'll probably go with larger plants here, probably 8-footers if we can find them. And again, we chose all different types of evergreens. We wanted to get a screen of the east side from the parking lot, and also we wanted to get some variety as far as evergreens, as far as color, texture, that kind of thing. And those are some of the photos: Norway spruce, eastern white pine, Serbian spruce, and Colorado green spruce. The next section, or area we want to address, is the entryway which is right number 2 here. That really entitles the walkway up. You'll see the architect's renderings of the new clubhouse on the left-hand side of your photo or your screen. And we chose to possibly just do some planters. These are just some sample planters. We're not recommending any of these, just kind of a sample. If the plan's approved, we'll look more detailed at different planters. And then we'll put annuals and perennials in them to really get that, instant beautiful color as you walk up the walk to the clubhouse. The third area is the east parking lot. We wanted to you go by this every time you come down Court and approach the clubhouse, so we wanted to kind of beautify that. Again, you'll see on the left of your screen some photos of the existing. There's a bike rack there. There's some old shrubs. We would like to kind of really make it a little bit more nice, colorful. We chose Weiglia in the back here, which is this. This purple flower plant is a 9-bark. It's got kind of purple leaves, so it kind of gives you green leaves and purple leaves. They flower pretty much throughout the spring, all the way through early fall. All of these shrubs at different times, and that was one of the objectives. In front here is gold flame spirea, which is a great plant. It's used a lot, but it's used a lot because it really has a lot of different season colors and flowers, and it's a really nice plant, kind of a lower profile. And then in front, we're going to do some annual mix, which is just the flowers that you see every year that everybody plants. Annuals is really a good way to impact color throughout the year. There's really not anything else that will give you color throughout the year like it has. So we'll do a mix there. Number 4 is area 4 is on the corner there. You'll see again some photos of existing. What we propose to do there is along the front end, the east end of the clubhouse is to do a hedge of boxwood. In front of that, we want to do some begonias for, again, color. This is a really shady area, so it's kind of tough to get color all the time. But I think with these mixes, we'll be able to achieve that. There's a transformer here that we want to hide, so we chose to put some hydrangeas. And again, hydrangeas come in all different colors. They can come in a pretty good size, 4 feet, 5 feet, to hide the transformer. In front of that, we want to do some shade annuals. Again, just a sample of the photo up top there of some that might work there. And then we have 2 existing birch trees here that we just want to put some English ivy underneath just to get some color as you approach the clubhouse. The 5th part, area, is the sign area, the main sign area at the end of Court Avenue. This is a very high-profile area, as you know, as you come down Court Avenue. The first thing you see is a sign, and then you see the course. So what we'd like to do is, with our new monument sign behind it, do some Carl Forster grasses. They pretty much are a nice backdrop to the sign. You'll see them over at Hidden Creek. We have them on the perimeter of Hidden Creek, and they get probably 6-7 feet. In front of that, we want to do, again, some annual mix, just for some color. On either side of that area, we want to do a clump of different perennials, and those will bloom from probably June right on through mid-September, late September, and those include Prairie Blazing Star, Purple Coneflower, Rainbow Marcella Coneflower, and Black-Eyed Susan. On the outer end, you'll see the green here. Those are switchgrass, which is, you'll see the photo right here. Again, they have a nice fall color. And then in front of that, yes, it's going to be a mixture in the back. A little blue stem, which are a little taller. And in the front, you'll see the gold color. That's the switchgrass. And then just to kind of balance out the design, we have some birch trees and we have some sumac on this side. We wanted just to kind of throw some sumac here, just to close that off, and also to get some nice fall red color. Last but not least is the scoreboard area, existing scoreboard area, area number 6. Again, you'll see the existing scoreboard that we're going to take down. This was a memorial for an old golf pro. There is some brick pavers in front that have been dedicated not only to him but to other people donating, and we want to keep those. So we've kind of taken the sign down. All of this is brick pavers, and we'll keep those, and then we'll put a hedge of boxwood again to kind of match up on the other side of area 4. And then excuse me, we'll do some, again, some perennials behind that, which are a little taller, and those will include the coneflower, the black-eyed Susan. Again, try to kind of keep it coordinated throughout the course. Now, on either side, we want to do some prairie rose, which you'll see a photo up there. It's perennial. And then in the middle here, we want to do some switchgrass, just to kind of give it a different texture and color. So that's kind of whipping through it, but I'm open for any comments, questions.
I have a question. Is that court that runs north-south, or is that the one that comes into it?
Court runs east-west.
What's the street that runs adjacent to it?
Sunset Road?
Sunset. Okay. Have you had any comments or inquiries, or we as a board, from the people that live along there? I guess my question is there an issue about, I know we own the land, but growing up, or do they want more things blocking it so golf balls don't go shooting? Like, if we had any feedback, I guess is just what I'm asking.
We haven't. I haven't. I don't know if anybody has through the course project at all, talked to the neighbors at all on either side here, but we haven't.
I mean, actually, the neighbors to the west, they coexist very well with the course. I mean, they use it as their walking trails. They're constantly on the course. It's an extension of their yards. They basically treat the course. So traditionally, at least as far as long I've been on the board, is that there's been a very cordial relationship between Sunset Valley and those neighbors to the west. So I don't think there's ever been any issues that I've
And
read.
they're probably-
I think Terry was asking about the neighbors to the
No,
east.
east. I meant the east. Neighbors to the east. I meant
We are to the west.
Yeah. The neighbors to the east. The only issues that I've been aware of, that I've gotten phone calls over the years is and Dan, this is nothing against you guys, but sometimes the park maintenance vehicle workers driving a little too fast down those roads, or not stopping at the stop sign that's located at, was that Bobolink or right around that area to the east. But that's all going to go away because the park maintenance buildings could be moved out of there, so they're not going to have that traffic in it. That's the only issue I'm aware of over the years that we've had in on the east of the Sunset Valley.
So I do have a few questions. And again, for the one on our computers, we can't read the numbers. On the monument sign area,
6.
this monument sign coming down,
That's-
and do we have a design for the new monument sign?
Soon, we will.
Soon, okay. All right. All right, so now I'm going to move to the building on the east facade of the building.
Or do you mean
The back of the
on
building.
That's the back, it's the east facade of the building.
Yep.
We have a sign do we still have a building sign on there?
We have letters on the.
Letters on
Yep.
the wall.
You can see it up there, yeah.
Well, okay.
Oh, yeah, I see.
All right.
We haven't.
All right, so the landscaping is taking that, I didn't know if it was still there, so the landscaping takes that into account, okay.
We
Okay.
kept it low because of
Okay.
that.
On the east parking lot, I see, we'll go back one. We have a treatment for the main entrance. What do we do around the perimeter and there's 2 other areas that are, giving definition to the parking lot? We've treated the entrance
Here and
itself, yeah.
Mhm.
Do we do anything there?
We haven't. We thought it was sufficient. There's a tree here. This is kind of, there's a driveway right here, so.
Mm,
I mean,
okay.
It is, I didn't want to block anybody's view coming out of their driveway either way. I mean, we could probably do something low if you think that's needed, but.
No, I mean, that's
Thought.
something within your purview. Okay, now let's go to our main parking lot,
Okay.
that one.
Mhm.
I don't, are we thinking of doing anything in the aisles there, any landscaping in the medians to give it a little more feeling? And then what about along the curb line with the street, whatever the
Along
street?
here, you mean, in
Yeah.
the middle island, and then there's an existing tree here that we're gonna keep. The middle island is, maybe someone wants to address that.
Yeah, so the middle island, we're actually proposing to, and we did a bid alternate for it, to have it removed. It's very small, and it's actually very hard to maintain, and the curbing is very low. People actually drive over it. And
Okay.
so it's the curb's in bad shape, the grass is in bad shape, and it's near impossible to maintain anyway. So our plan is to remove that. We'll keep the islands on each end because there's also some necessary drainage for the parking lot there. But those are also difficult to maintain, and they're rather small, so there is a tree on one of them.
Mhm.
And even that little slice there, I think the issue or the discussion was that it would be hard to maintain and keep a plant species to grow well there. So
Okay,
that
Alright.
was why there's nothing in the plan.
all right, so then I'm getting it. What are we doing then to the, you said there were planters,
Mhm.
and show me where those are going, on that one, no, on that,
On this
and there,
one,
where are the planters going?
you'll see them, these are the kind of the small colored dots.
Okay, that's where the planters are going.
Yeah. Now, I just kind of alternate them. We can have them across. We can put more. On the east-west path, we have to keep them on the south side because there's no room on the north side with the new addition. On the northwest path, we can put them on either side. So
Okay.
I just kind of alternate them, but we can put them across. We can have as many as we feel fit.
Okay, and then going north-south, or east-west rather,
Mhm.
we could also put planters to give some definition to,
Right, I showed them just, I think I put 4 in here.
well, I'm going closer to the parking lot side. What is between the parking lot? There's a curb shown there?
This parking lot or this parking lot?
The one you're pointing,
This one.
that one?
Yeah, there's a curb here, and I think that is the original design for the clubhouse from the architects was they kind of wanted a kind of a lawn area, like a great lawn area.
Yeah.
Yes.
Front lawn, and so that's why we didn't really plant a lot there. As you know, now we have a lot of arborvitae's to
Mhm.
kind of screen and everything, and I think the thought was to just kind of open it up,
Mhm.
especially because the clubhouse is going to be so beautiful.
So
We wanna see
beautiful.
it, right?
Okay. All right. All right, well, I want to ask Cal a question, because I know that you were acutely concerned with the landscaping. Was there any other area of the landscaping that you wanted to address?
No, actually, I've already seen this plan already. So I was on about the call, and I was very happy with what they did. There's a couple areas that I was looking for that to be supplemented, specifically, and this is going to be done further down the road as we introduce the course. I had questions regarding what the landscaping is going to be like between the clubhouse and the first and the eighth tee, because right now there's a slope, and that's the eighth tee, not the ninth green. The eighth, yeah, that's the eighth tee. So we discussed that in the call when I was on the call with this. The other areas that we discussed was the where the Parks Maintenance Building is being removed. We haven't really developed a plan for that area yet. Again, that will evolve. Maybe we don't do that right away. Maybe we see how this thing works, and then we revisit that issue in a couple of years or something like that.
We're going to seed it for grass, aren't we?
Yeah, we're seeded for grass, but I'm saying if there's potentially plans to make that a practice facility, a short game area. I mean, those are things that I think as we evolve, I mean, we won't necessarily bring that out this year, but let's just see how much room it is and if it could work out. We also talked about signage, because we talked about the monument sign on Court, But when you remove the parks maintenance building to the south, there is a south entrance. And we discussed maybe installing another monument sign down there, because traditionally there hasn't been one. But now this is solely going to be a golf course. It's not also going to be a maintenance facility. So people coming from Green Bay Road down Bobbling will most likely enter or ingress and egress through the south rather than the north. Because I usually come from the north. That's where I live.
And I come from the south.
Yeah, so if you come from the south, you may go that way. So that's something that, again, that's going to be a work in progress, how they try to address that intersection, which is not on the screen here. It's actually further south. And then the other thing we talked about is actually trying to improve the signage on Green Bay Road, on Bobolink, and on Deerfield to further help people locate the course. So those are the things that we talked about. I'm satisfied that as these plans evolve, that those issues will be addressed. So I'm very happy, and I'm glad that they took this time to do this exercise to actually come up with a plan, because, as you know, you said kind of teasingly that, but I've been pushing this.
I know.
And I think that, I think this is sufficient for the first year. Let's see how it works. If we need to add anything as we grow into this course, into this new course, then we have the ability to do it, because the good news is that a lot of this stuff we could do in-house.
Right.
So we don't have to go out, and we don't have to spend a lot of money. We already have the staff. These guys do a great job, and it's not something we have to spend a lot of money on in the future. And I like the mix between annuals and perennials here, because I think that's
All year round.
yeah, exactly. So my only real concern is that, and then we're not going to be able to judge this until the actual planting's done, is that we have to see, maybe not in the first year, but within the first 5 years, how the screening around the cart barn actually comes in, because how high the plants grow, how wide because, in all due respect, the cart barn's a pretty ugly building. So whatever we can do to screen that, and no offense to anybody here, okay? But it's really not an attractive building, especially when we have this beautiful new clubhouse that we're renovating. So whatever we could do, and again, we may not have the correct amount of screening in the first year, but as those plants grow, well, I guess, they'll be revisited in the future.
I'm glad that you went through this exercise, but that you raised a point. Let me also ask, we're changing the sign in Deerfield, right? Are we going to have consistent signage throughout? And that's
Yes.
part of the plan that you're going to unfold for us
I
eventually.
think Liz will be doing that shortly.
Okay, thank you.
Adding on, I just want to know what the future plan is for landscaping in and around the tee boxes, et cetera. Is that a separate issue? And just a follow-up to that, have we considered, and maybe Liz is working on this, is there a flower or a plant or something that would be themed throughout it? You go to some courses and they'll have a jagged rock or whatever, and you'll see that on every tee box. Or you'll see a statue, or you'll see whatever, a flower. Has that thought been given?
No.
No.
I'll answer it.
We're thinking about a statue of Brian Kaplan, but I don't know if that's
On the 7th fairway right.
No, but, okay, going back to
shaking
the
a ball. I mean,
what is the plan for landscaping on the course?
Yeah, we can have Ryan come back.
Yeah, he'll
and
be
give
back
us-
That
in
was my
March.
question.
we did talk about that.
Right, but we're putting like nice colors at the entryway and by the clubhouse. Are we going to make the
Nice
same
colors.
nice colors on the course?
Well,
Or
we
what-
talked about that in the call. I think you cut out early that day, but we talked about they're talking
I
about
don't
T
want-
markers. They're talking about the T markers and things like that. So
Right.
that's going to be that plan's still evolving. So
Okay.
we're not
Yeah.
there just yet on the
Do we have a budget for that? I mean, is that?
it's all included in the
That's all
budget.
Yeah.
included.
It's all included.
Because
Yeah.
the course is obviously much more open than it's been, with all the brush being cleared and everything like that. But that openness also then does beg for
Color.
color or some other dynamic in there, and that, within the next 5 years, we'll be able to flesh that out.
Well, there's a couple of things at work there. Number one, the course is changing. Besides losing the trees and becoming more open, it's becoming more link style. So there'll be more fescue and those type of and we have we have plenty of flowering wildflowers out there existing as it is. Where we've done in the past, and I don't want to get anybody in trouble, is that we've cut back on the annual plantings to try to save money. And that was especially when the numbers were not where we wanted them to be on the course, because obviously they look anywhere they could save money. But hopefully, if we build it, they will come. Field of Dreams reference. If they build it, they will come, and then and then if that happens,
Can I
we'll
write
have,
that
we could,
down?
we'll have,
No.
the whole idea is that
Can
we
you
have
go
more
to the
people there, we can have a bigger budget, we could do more things at the course. So it really, we have to do, this is kind of like taking baby steps before we run, and let's just see how things work out, see if the people come, see what the revenues are, and see how much money we can do for the nice things to have.
Oh, they'll come.
Yeah, I'm convinced they're going to
And
come.
Ryan can give an update,
Yeah.
Terry, in regards to the flowers and that in March when he comes back.
I have one more question. Are we able to build some of these planters in-house using some of the ash trees that we've cut down with the boards, or don't we have that wood?
I think we want something maybe.
I think we want something
nicer.
new and.
Yeah, nicer.
Yeah,
It's a good idea.
I don't think so.
Okay, well, yeah, those planters with ash trees, they'd be terrible. So tried.
Thank you, Mike. Brian.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love the plan. Thanks,
With
guys.
let's make sure the minutes do refer to the Field of Dreams reference.
Yeah.
All right, next, Parks Operations, Golf Operations, Construction Update. Mr. Smith.
Hello. All right, so before I get started with the slideshow, I wanted to address something that we talked about last month, which was the request about going over what the security kind of elements are for the site. So what we're going to be doing is, on the exterior of the building, there are cameras mounted, and they're basically placed to cover both the upper and the lower parking lot. And they're also going to get the ramp and all of the exterior entrances.
Are they monitored, or how's that going to work?
It's similar to how we do it in the rest of the district, where they're recorded and then they're only accessed if needed in certain situations.
And so are people be able to see it? Because I know you can get the information, you can get pictures on your phone, basically. If someone's back there when they shouldn't be back there, there's now programs that actually will give you a text and saying someone's back there, and then you can actually pull it up on your phone and see who's back there. So and it's something that maybe that you should look at, because if there's motion, like a motion detector or something like that, because that's a remote site, and as a result, there could be there's a lot of heavy equipment, there's a lot of materials back there, so we have to be, technology is amazing now, what you can do with this stuff, so.
We have that ability.
You do?
Yeah, that's already built into all the programs we have.
Okay.
It's just a matter of turning on the notification every time there's motion. Email blast would go with the picture of the motion, and then from that point, we can look further.
I think that especially during the summer months, kids will be kids, that if we're vigilant about that.
Great.
Okay.
There's also going to be a sliding gate at the entrance, the bottom of the ramp. All of the doors are going to be fobbed, so access is through the cards. And there will be some cameras inside the building. It's going to be in public spaces and in the garages. And then parking lot lights.
Okay, great, thanks. Thanks for the update.
Of course. All right. So here's a photo from the last presentation, just to kind of show you where we've come. So we're quite a bit has happened over the last month. We're really starting to button things up. So this is the training room, kind of kitchen area, and this was a shot I took earlier today, where the cabinets are starting to go in, the counters are going in. These counters will probably be done in a few days, and then once they're done, there'll be a backsplash that goes in that area, and the appliances are all going to go in just after that. Here is the golf maintenance garage. So one of the other things we had to do, it was quite the scene to see, was the metal ceiling was painted. So we had to go in, and then everything was covered in plastic, and they painted the ceilings, and then we're done there. So that's that. And then you can also see on the far end there, all of the overhead doors have been installed, and here's some as well. And this is right outside the restrooms. We just had the lockers installed last week, so these are the lockers going in. And this is the stairway going in. So the stairway is in process right now. By the end of the week, it should be completed. So this was the basic framing going in. And there's the steps. They're going to be pouring the concrete for the steps, hopefully tomorrow. And then we'll be finalizing that. And then this is a shot from the lower level. You can see to the far right, the stairway there. And then kind of to the left, this is this mezzanine kind of storage area. And that connects there. And so they're installing the railing there, and that'll be done by the end of the week. And then another thing that's been done throughout the building is all the light fixtures. You can see at the top here, the light fixtures hanging. Those are just being installed now.
And Jeff, don't we have a skylight over the stairs?
We do. So if you actually look in that picture, do you notice at the top right of the stairway, see how bright it is? That's from the skylight right there. There's a skylight there. There's one in golf maintenance, and there's two in the locker room area. This is the start of the elevator being installed, so you can see the shaft down there.
The pit of despair.
Yeah. It's right there. This was earlier today. The elevator is wrapping up in just a few days. Once they're complete, then the masons will come back and complete all of the block wall around it. And this was another one that just got put up. This is great. So you're looking north, and we're in the upper parking lot here. This is guardrail so that no one falls off onto the ramp right there. So that just got installed. And here's some counters going in. This is in the area for our crew leaders. This is kind of the loose ends that are starting to go in. All the fixtures for the restrooms are in. This is our chemical washroom. There is epoxy floor that's in there, and then there's marker boards built in. Those are in, and blinds are going in. So kind of loose ends like that. And then next steps are the sliding fence is not in just yet. That's going to be going in soon. And also the chemical wash station is going to be going in, and then finishing up the elevator and the stairs and the cabinetry. We have a final inspection with the 6 Wednesday, and then we'll be starting, the plan is to start moving shortly after that.
That's great.
Nice.
Oh, and my last slide, sorry. Financials
The
there.
important stuff.
Yeah, and then here's the summary. You'll notice the contingencies, a few of the things that we utilized the contingencies for this time were, right when you walk into the building, there was one wall that we had chosen not to paint. It was basically value engineering. And at this point, we were able to do it, so we added that back. And then there was some other adjustments that the engineers and the architects had to make in regards to snow load on the roof. And so we had to make some adjustments there with various pipes and conduits that are attached to the roof. And that was part of the contingency.
The precast concrete, which is the exterior finish, does that weather at all, or does it just remain this color permanently?
I don't think it's going to weather significantly, but it'll certainly weather over time.
The reason I bring that up, maybe I'm overly sensitive because I drive down Deerfield Road. I mean, you could definitely see the building hovering over the water park. And I was wondering if there's anything that can be done through landscaping or anything like that, because I know we're going to put a couple trees there. Maybe when you come back the next time, is that you can go through what, I hate to be a broken record, talk about the landscape plan, but especially on because we focus so much on the west, the south, because of neighbors. I'd like to revisit what the landscape plan is on the north side of the building, because, number one, with the water park there, and also with Deerfield Road, because you could definitely see it from Deerfield Road. So, landscaping is the cure-all.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you right now, briefly, the landscaping on the front, it's a small lawn area. There's just a handful of trees. And they would be, from the road there, you wouldn't be able to see them significantly just because of the height.
Well, maybe we should relook at that, maybe try to get some more height with trees, especially during the summer months, the leaves on the trees, because that may be something that would help.
70 feet high.
What? 70 feet high? Well,
Yeah, it's pretty tall.
it's pretty tall right there.
It's definitely shade trees called for it, and we can look into getting as tall as we can get.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how long the area is, we have to worry about the root systems and things like that. But whatever we could do, because you could definitely see it. Okay?
Thanks.
All right. Mr. Smith, can you stay and give us a
Yeah.
green for an update?
I can escape.
He doesn't want to, but he can.
Oh, I'd be happy to.
Oh, that's good. Because he's doing the ravine next.
Yeah, the winter, it's really popped up. Yeah. I didn't notice that.
Let me scoot this up. So what I was going to do now is kind of, we're getting cut off here. One second. Okay, there we go. So I wanted to kind of briefly go through all of the green print initiatives and provide a status on where we are on these. So the first set I'm going to go through are the planning initiatives that were in green print. What page? So accomplished in that creation. The next master, we're saying we're working engagement of a lakefront and with more with this plan. The idea here is we're front master taking inventory, raising new goals, and then the plan. There are numerous that laid out in green. My name was talking about the we were going through a process to rezone, and there's planning plan, the last land act. So that all the this land strategy, and this land and department have been working on over the past year. Amalia Schwartz has been leading this effort. The plan is actually to wrap this up pretty soon when she returns. The goal here is kind of just to better get us in how we properties, and so we'll be bringing to pretty soon. And this next one here is another kind of conversation and or strategic. So I don't want Rome to save that presentation on those. You're following when he master plan. So we talked something that been led by the as it developed some science, also working with the architect to new monument the parks, bringing those to the station. Management strategy. This is an effort. The department. The goal is to kind of be little guide. So the first was to territory. That was a phase where we met coaches. We met. We're also going to be meeting board as well. Information. Our new plan. And then fall. This is that and Schwartz have finalized. There was efforts have been done in this area but this was something that's recently updated, and we're taking this now and we are kind of brand. It's also something that we hope to be bringing to the board in the future. We'll talk about it a little more when we talk about the strategic plan update. Okay, so that's all the planning initiatives. Now, this last section here are the Track 1 and Track 2 efforts. So Track 1, Centennial Lobby improvements. So what this is, as everybody knows, is some interior improvements to Centennial Ice Arena. We're just starting the planning for that for this year, and the goal would be to start construction on that next year. Part of this effort, there is to jump down Track 2, Centennial Ice expansion. So while that's something that would be far into the future, we want to determine that we would expand the rink. We would want to know now because it could impact how we do work in the lobby and in the interior of the building now. So what's happening now is the staff are working on updating a pro forma that was done a number of years ago. There were some preliminary conversations with the city. We need to pretty soon meetings with the city and with the Falcons to kind of start to discuss this to determine whether that's something we'd want to move forward with, which will then bring us back to our plan of the interior improvements. The next track 2 was the rec center, and those were completed. Then we have Sunset Valley Golf Course. It's in progress, and my note here just says, I was just asked Ryan today, he said holes 1 and 7 germinated well under the tarps. However, once winter passes, if there was an issue there, the contractor will come out and reseed those. And then there's the sealing of the cart paths. It's going to happen this summer. And then also at the course is the clubhouse improvements, which construction documents were completed. That was bid out, and now staff are working with the firm we hired to manage the project and the architects to come up with a guaranteed maximum price for the project. And then we have Sunset Woods Park Master Plan. This is an effort that we have not initiated yet. And then that brings us to the track 2. The only one here that there's been a little bit of effort, obviously, is the Highland Park Country Club multipurpose facility and site improvements. And obviously, there's been discussions with the city on this. And the last, none of these have been initiated yet. That's the arena expansion we touched on. The lakefront enhancements, which would essentially come from the updated lakefront master plan. And last, the athletic field improvements would also come from the efforts of the athletic field plan strategy. And that is my summary. Any questions?
Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Next, Rebecca Grohl, Highland Park Country Club planning process.
See her hiding back there.
Steph, good transition. Okay, well, I feel like it's been a while since I think we met at City Hall and alluded to the community engagement plan, so I'm pleased to be able to be here to talk about it tonight. We're going to review the community engagement approach, talk about the advisory committee and the planning schedule. We have a video to show you this evening that's an introductory video of the project to get people excited about it in the community. And we will take a look at what 2019 might look like on the course when it is under construction. We've had some questions about how that might look. And then we have some ideas about a demonstration garden that we'd like to share with you that would be for this year. So the purpose of the community engagement plan is to help us plan this year ahead, right? To make sure that we have conversations that we need to have when we need to have them. We have established an internal planning committee, staff. We've already met 2 times, and we have reviewed this engagement document, which exists in a written format. The internal committee is out to the in 3 different levels of engagement to create, partner with stakeholders, advisory committee, to gather their input to make the project successful. That means the ultimately to consult with the larger community through surveys. We'll talk a little bit about that, or through open public meetings and perhaps small group meetings, and to keep key players informed, board members, stakeholders, staff as well. So in terms of community engagement, those are the roles of the internal planning committee. The Public Advisory Committee. The Public Advisory Committee is to be a resource, really, to our planning effort. And so we're going to be seeking people who are excited about our 4 areas of interest for the community, the nature center that we're working on, nature-based pursuits, fitness and well-being, running, hiking and biking, and outdoor-related family activities. We've been reaching out to our stakeholder groups and to staff for candidates, for people who would be enthusiastic about areas and would be able to provide us with their expertise at the same time. And then, of course, we have our ex officio members of staff and the board members and our Legacy Club stakeholders. The potential stakeholders. These would be people that the internal planning committee would be reaching out to individually, probably, setting meetings. We've already reached out to some of these groups. For example, Lake County Audubon, looking to have us with ideas of habitat that could possibly exist on the property. Of course, we've reached out to the and Lake County Stormwater Management Commission. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. This is the overall timeline, and of course, we've already gotten underway with this. You might note here that we have a goal of getting to construction documents and bidding this time next year. So that's where we're working toward. I'll go into detail about these different steps. They're based on the planning process, basically. So first, the internal planning committees is my favorite slide because we've already done a lot of this. We have started our preliminary discussions with our partner groups, as I mentioned. We have been involved in 2 conference calls and a meeting with the Army Corps of Engineers, City of Highland Park, IDNR, and SMC to work on our potential for a feasibility study for stormwater capacity up and down the North Branch River, including the Highland Park Country Club site. So while we are not part of that letter of agreement that's being drafted, we're at the table as that work is being sketched out. That's a 9-month process to do that first study, to decide to do a study, just so you know. And then the study, if it is elected to be done, would be a 3-year process. We have one of the initiatives our internal group wanted to do is a community survey. This would be to ask people if they are going to a passive recreation area, what do they like to do? What kind of amenities do they want to use? And what kind of activities do they enjoy doing? So that we can start to get a sense of who our user group might be and obviously what kind of activities they would be interested in having. And if anybody's interested, I can show you that list later. We are in the process of selecting a consulting firm. I think I can share that we've had pretty good response back from Hay and Associates, so we'll be continuing to work with them to flesh out some details, but that's looking very positive. So that's key because we want them to be leading these advisory group meetings for us. We will be having a kickoff meeting for staff, hopefully in late March, that Hay will also be assisting us with. And we are, as soon as we are ready, going to be soliciting and finalizing members of the advisory group. So, as I say, many of those things are already underway. So, in April, we would begin in earnest with the planning process. We anticipate having 3 conceptual meetings. So, with the first meeting being a very important one where we would try to set the tone for the planning process, provide people with the background on the project, tell them the facts and the opportunities as they are, and then begin to explore concepts with the help of Hay and Associates. Then there would be a couple of follow-up meetings as those concepts were refined, and at the 3rd advisory committee meeting, there would be a sense of selection of a consensus, if you will, on the project. Following that, then, would be the first of a public meeting where a more general audience would be invited to review the concept designs. These designs would, of course, be on the website, and we've even talked about having events at the country club site where we could have the plans available and just catch people as they go by and talk to them about it. So we would be inviting a lot of public comment in that manner. And then, of course, presenting that to the concept designs to the board. Then we would have a 4th advisory committee to look at the final plan, a public meeting to present it, and a board meeting also to present that final plan, and then start working on design review. Construction documents, and then get busy working. All right. Do you have any questions about that portion? Yeah.
I have one.
Well, my question is, what is the authority of design review for something like this? Do they review landscaping for our parks?
Do they? You just drew me blank. Yes, I believe that they do. It would be a question that we would present to the city and ask them if they felt that they needed to do that review.
You realize there is no more design review commission.
It's the zoning
No, it's the plan commission.
plan commission.
Plan and design commission.
All right, but you think that, Cal, you think also they have authority to review this project?
I think it really depends on the plan, how comprehensive the plan is. I mean, if we're changing out bushes or trees, no. But this is a 100-acre site. They may. I don't know what their expertise in reviewing landscape plans are. But they do have a landscape architect on the commission, Ben Cutscheit, who's a former board member here. So, yeah, I mean, I think maybe, my understanding of the design review city process is that it goes to the plan and design commission for final approval. It doesn't go to city council.
Yeah, but that took me then to my other question about permits. You need permits to do the work we're doing?
In our scope of work for the consultant, permitting is part of that. So there would be wetland delineation to be done, and if there's any kind of work in the floodplain.
There'll be discussions with the city and whether or not we need to go to
You have to go through community development and see what they say first.
Or write it into the agreement?
Yeah, that's it.
That was my
I might be getting into too much nitpicking, but you talked about an online community survey.
Yes.
Are you going to just put that on our website for anybody to fill out, or are we going to control the number of people
The
that
plan,
respond?
the plan that we discussed with Liz Gogola was to put it onto the website, that the web page, and the community survey would be available on there as a way to also start to ask for people to think about being on the advisory committee.
Okay.
Yeah, and that'd be more like a non-scientific type of survey, because regardless of the data points that's by the advisory group, when they come back with a recommendation, it's not, they don't have veto power, so to speak.
No.
Yeah.
I'll let it
Yeah.
go for now.
I have one question. Is there any thoughts of putting this type of presentation on our website? I mean, basically letting the community know. Green print.
Well, when are we going
Well, let me finish. We did that with Green Print. I'm sorry. You go ahead. You're the president.
Rebecca just talked about doing a full page to this. When will that be up and running?
Well, this leads me to my slide, if nothing's on this order.
Now, you've got to say, that was well done.
Thank you.
Yes.
I had to make up for not remembering he had to. Yeah, I have so many attorneys in the room. I knew one of you would know the answer.
I should have known.
That's okay. I think we all blanked. So yes, community outreach and communications about this project. We do plan, and we're starting to build a project page, kind of like we've done in the past with Pogo, would be an example. And so that page would have project updates, it would carry the survey, and it will have this video that I'm about to show you, and is kind of the place that we push people to for more information about the project as we go along.
I mean, that worked really well with Sunset Valley, too.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people commented to me that they check back fairly regularly to get the updates on where we were with
Yeah.
Sunset Valley.
We're
so-
excited about that.
Yeah.
It's also a way to have a place to define the project and tell them, people, what it is that we are trying to accomplish here, and keep that framed nicely. All right, Dan,
Here's the video.
here's the video.
Here's what I found on the web for what it is that we are trying to accomplish.
Thanks, Val.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Who's that?
You have to guess.
That's Brian.
Nope.
But you saw the balls I lost last year.
You have to go down under the lake.
God, the drones are cool. Wow.
Look at the lake.
Very well done. Very well done. Is that Spielberg or
Yes.
Scorsese or Spielberg? That's
Yes,
what I want to know.
yes. Both. They both joined in on it.
Yeah.
Yep. So, so we're excited about that, and we're just waiting for the go-ahead to build the page and put it out to the public. So we've been reaching out to different organizations, as I mentioned, and some of the people we've been reaching out to have been people who've done this before. So we happened to be talking to Acacia Country Club in Cleveland, Ohio, and the young woman sent me these pictures. And I said, well, we've got to show these to folks because people are wondering what it's going to look like out the clubhouse window. This is out their clubhouse window when they were in their first year of restoration. So if you focus kind of on the back left-hand side of that photo frame, that's the close-up of that area. So that's the typical of restoration work when you're taking turf grass out of commission and then planting seeds. You're going to end up with areas that might look brown for a while, but you can see that there's growth coming up in there. You plant cover crops too to make it stay green. So that's just to give you an idea. This is the kind of machinery that might be used to take up turf. And there's a possibility that there would be, heavier equipment like a bobcat or an excavator for some of the trail work. But that's just to give you an idea. So to combat all of that, we have been working to create a demonstration garden right behind the country club on that terrace that exists. So you can see where the arrows point to. That's the terrace behind the clubhouse. And these two areas marked A and B would be turned into an area where we would have a very deliberate planting of native plants. So it would serve a couple purposes, backdrops for photos, for weddings, keep people's eyes kind of focused on the immediacy rather than maybe looking out to see if there's something that's brown out there. And mind you, we are planning to maintain the two greens and the T that are right behind the country club. So those will continue to look green, even if we have to dye them.
St. Patrick's Day.
I'm learning so many tricks from Ryan Oakes. It's
They
crazy.
do that at Comiskey Park, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's right. Excuse me.
Uh-huh. Yeah, the Bears did that a couple
Yeah.
times, too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, Chicago, we can dye things green.
Yeah, no, exactly. They do a river, too.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So, the demonstration garden, and we're going to push to try to do that this year, obviously, during the planning session so that we could bring people out. And we're hoping that their fourth impression is, oh my gosh, those are native plants. That's really beautiful. And I love it, and it's a native plant. Who knew? Excuse me, I'm going to lose my voice, but I'm almost done. Thank you. Brian, this is where you have to catch me. Thanks. Okay, next steps. Select that AE firm. recruit our advisory group, do our community survey. Don't die.
I'll take over for you. Internal staff kickoff meeting, and if anybody has any questions.
How long does it take to
That's right. Thank you. Good job.
Sure, I'll pinch in anytime for you, okay?
Okay. All right, gang. That's it. And if anybody was keeping track, those are the number of meetings we're discussing.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
you,
Submit
guys.
questions in
Exciting.
writing and not make her talk anymore.
I know, exactly. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, review of vouchers, Annette?
Just take my glass, don't worry about it.
Do so.
Very gentlemanly.
I won't forget.
Review of vouchers.
Review of vouchers, please.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Bills presented for the board's review this evening are checks written from January 5th through February 8th, 2018. They total $946,727.25. They are all budgeted expenditures. There was nothing ordinary or unordinary.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, don't sit down. We get to come to the ravine now.
All right. I promise this is the last of you'll see me tonight. So.
No.
All right. So
You're not staying?
we are.
Staff can go home.
I know.
So I just wanted to update everyone on the Rosewood Ravine down in the lower lot. So as you likely recall, there is some damage on, this is, we're looking upstream here with the lake behind us. And on the north side, on the right side, there's, you can see the stones have all washed away and it's starting to kind of wear under the parking lot. And on the left side, on the south side, some damage, but not near as much. So we're going to look at the south side first. It's right here. You've got a little bit of movement of the stone there. And then on the north side, it's been significant. There were large boulders that were placed, and then the smaller stone, and you can actually see the fabric, and you can see starting to wash under the parking lot there. So we have been working with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers on a solution to this issue in both areas here, and they have come back with their solution would be, and this is what I want to kind of briefly just share with you what they're proposing, and then get any questions you guys have in regards to it. For this side, they would take some of the larger boulders that have actually washed into the ravine and move them here and kind of dress this area up a little bit. They don't have any concerns about this area as far as its integrity, but they do want to clean it up. And then back to this area here, what they're proposing is to actually put in a concrete wall along the length of the parking lot. It would be about 3 feet tall, would go in about 2 feet, and it would be the entire length just beyond the parking lot. So it would be about 50 feet long. And the idea here is they have tried multiple things and kind of gotten to the point where this has been a perfect experiment almost, where they've determined that this is really the final step. Now,
Where would the wall be located?
Yeah. I'm
it would be
confused.
located right. Let me see. Okay, great. So it would run, this is the bridge right here. It would basically run from here all the way across. You would still see this concrete of the lot, and you would see these posts right here. So it would meet with the concrete right underneath. And then it would go straight down, and it would go into the water, and then there would be a footing under the water. So aesthetics are obviously part of this. And what would this look like? So we do have some options. And one would be, it'd be a concrete wall, but they can do almost like a mold to give it a certain kind of look. And here is one thing that would be within budget. And so the idea here is this is a concrete wall where a contractor comes in, puts these forms in that gives it this look, and then it gets painted a natural color. So there is some in-kind work that the Army Corps owes us. So this work would be at no cost to the district. And that would include a finish similar to this. Now, there are a number of finishes out there. We looked at a lot of things. There are some that would be much more expensive. There are some that look much more rudimentary, like a brick wall. But this was something that we were able to work with them on and we felt could potentially be a good fit. So where we are right now with the Corps is that they would like to move forward with this work. There's a lot to hash out, a lot of details, a lot of questions we have. Once we tell them that we feel that this solution is the direction we want to go, we would start to work those details out. And their goal is to complete this work this calendar year.
So did they give you kind of a timeline of what kind of fix this is, like how long of a fix this is, how permanent,
This would essentially be a long-term permanent fix.
like 25 years?
I didn't ask that question specifically. I certainly can.
And did we test the integrity of the parking lot? I mean, that picture looked bad.
Yeah, this
And
is
I don't know if
something.
it was just the angle or the picture.
This is something we've spoken to the Corps about quite a bit, and they feel confident that there aren't any integrity issues with the lot.
Okay.
And is there any talk, you said it was a relatively basic fix on the south side of it. Is there any logic or reason to have it matching aesthetically?
I think it would be a challenge because it's all sand on that side. There isn't any structure like the parking lot that you can almost attach to, and it really hasn't. It's very dynamic, especially on that side. But that was always the understanding and the intention. So they weren't as concerned about that area. And so at this point, it would be, there are some very large stone that are down at the bottom of the ravine now, some of which actually are providing habitat now and actually doing some positive things, but they would kind of move some of those around, just rearrange.
Okay.
Have we had an engineer look at the parking lot?
We have not, no.
Are we going to have one?
Our work right now has all been strictly with the Corps. We can do that.
I mean,
Independently.
maybe have the city's engineer go out there and take a look at it. I mean, I don't know. Someone take a look. I mean, I know it's. I want to make sure that the parking lot is
Let's
stable.
go back to the picture that shows that.
Yeah. 'Cause
So is the parking lot is not being undercut. What you're seeing here, unless I'm mistaken.
No, you're correct.
You're seeing there's a fabric.
so that's not open.
That's not open.
No, this fabric.
It's a black fabric
Oh.
material.
Kind of hard to see.
Yeah.
Because on
Yeah.
mine, that's why I asked.
So there were stones laid on top of the fabric?
Can I zoom in?
There is some, a
Oh, it's
little
funny
bit,
now
but
that you
not
say
as
that. You
deep
can
as-
see it.
Oh, it kind of looked like a cavity. It almost looks
Yeah.
like a cavity from
Yeah,
here.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
is coming back
Let me see
about, maybe 6-8 inches.
No, now that you say it, I can see it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
on here,
So this is all the fabric they're talking about right here.
I got it. So that's not a
And-
cavity.
but-
No, no, it's not. And there
Yeah.
were large stones that were placed there, but one of the primary purposes of those stones were really just to dress it up, and it was aesthetics. So what's holding it together is all still there.
Oh, okay, that's different. Okay, then that's
never
concerned.
mind.
Never mind. How about some Alvarvita? Maybe that will screen it.
Okay.
All right.
Jeff, thank you.
Can you go to the wall again?
What?
Yeah, let me go back.
I don't remember.
So is this is a
No, but I
big,
never
beautiful
quoted it.
wall. You got it? And no one will climb this wall.
This is,
Who's paying for this wall? Did I miss that?
Mexico.
Mexico.
Okay.
All right. No, seriously.
Ryan, take control.
But no, okay.
Calvin?
Sorry.
All right. So this is actually an in-place wall someplace that and you said it was painted?
Yeah.
Is that going to create a maintenance problem for us then? Periodically, we have to go back and paint to keep a color,
Probably.
consistent color?
Probably.
Well, if it's 10 years, and it's minimal, but.
Sure.
But I think this wall is fine.
I agree.
And then my other question, though, Jeff, is how far beyond the edge of the parking lot? Because, we're seeing the erosion that's occurring down further to the east on the north side.
So it'll extend beyond the actual distance I don't have right now, but this is something that we were actually talking about, how they're going to kind of marry the end of the wall and essentially the sand in the bluff.
Yeah, okay. That was a concern I had. Hopefully they'll grade it down or something.
So this was caused by the flow through the ravine on big rains. So is there anything we can do to try to, is there something to lessen the veracity, the whatever, how long,
Sure.
how quickly it flows through there? Because this is what's happened over a couple years. What's going to happen over 5 years or 10 years while we still have that flow coming out of the ravine into this area? Is there potentially, are we looking at maybe other things, other damage that can cause?
Not necessarily. In the discussions we've had, they feel confident that this is the only area that really needs this improvement. It's actually something that they had considered when they first did this work, but they didn't want to go that route, obviously, for the work, and wanted to go more the natural route. And they felt strongly about the other side of the bridge. It is taken pretty well, and there's been some movement. But what it really comes down to is all the different channels that come into that one area and just going right into
Yeah.
the lake. There's really not a lot we can do to reduce that flow.
And if they looked into that, if it's blocked there, that's going to create an issue somewhere else? Because waters can always find a way to if it's blocked in one spot, it's going to go someplace else.
Well, this wall's not going to block anything.
Oh, so, okay.
No, let me explain.
So when you have high water, when you have water, the flow coming after a big rain, how high does it go through there?
That close to the bottom of the
Yeah,
bridge.
it doesn't hit the bridge, but it gets pretty close. So that wall is going to just replace this stone. It's going to run alongside the parking lot here. So there isn't going to be anything that's going
So
to.
is there going to be stone there anymore, or is that?
There will not be stone here.
Okay.
And it basically what you're going to see there is this something along the lines of this. Obviously, this is in a different
Yeah,
application.
I got it. Okay.
Any other questions? Thanks.
And the answer is, Cal, reverse climate change. And then
Yeah, I don't want to go there.
Is there anybody from the public that would like to address the board?
I actually would. I sent you all and Liza a copy of a picture because I didn't know if I could display it. We have a picture of the barge.
Oh, yeah.
Shortly, right around the beginning of the month. And to our untrained eyes, it looks like it's deteriorating even more. The center is now sunk in, and it is to the point where it's almost breaching the east side of the barge. So I just request that you empower staff to have it analyzed as soon as the weather breaks to see if it indeed is looking as bad as it is looking, because it sure is looking bad.
We've already started that process.
Can I speak on that just for a second? That Peter did forward that, and I forwarded to Liza right away.
Okay.
Then Liza sent it
And
to all of
Liza
us.
has put in an action plan.
Okay, great, thank you.
And having gone down there before and after, I think the boat launch ramp still looks pretty secure.
Good, okay.
Dan, you agree?
The launch part?
Yeah.
Yes, the ramp itself, yes.
We weren't concerned about the launch ramp being deteriorating right now, but if it reached the other side of the barge, we're worried that it would.
And this area is going to be addressed with that lakefront planning that we saw in the green print?
Is the barge in that? We do have WT Engineering coming out.
No, I'm
first
talking about
part
for
of March.
planning, because we're talking about revisiting
I
our
think that's
lakefront plan.
part of the whole
And that's the
overall
process that
plan.
That'll be
Yeah.
part of
Arcade
that
will be
whole
looked
planning
at.
process this year.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I just want to make
Yeah.
sure. Ask the question. Okay.
Okay.
It is pretty scary, though, isn't it?
It is pretty scary.
Like
I don't know, I did not take that picture out, and who did?
No, like I was there about a week before. Well, you've seen how it's been sloping. But I was there about a week before, and then we had a huge storm, and ice, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, look what's happened! Like in a week, it's amazing.
Okay. Anybody else? Is there a motion to go into closed session pursuant to the following sections of the
Right.
open?
Excuse me, I don't know if there's a chance, I would like to address the board just very briefly, just for myself, for the
Address the
record.
ball? Hello, ball.
The board.
Okay.
Before we go into closed, I just wanted to make a thank you.
Okay.
Is okay. So, with my wife recovering and everything like that, the board and the staff and everything was very nice, sending their regards, and we received some beautiful flowers. So I just wanted to publicly thank you for that, and to give you the report that she's doing great, and she's well on her way to a full and total recovery.
That's great.
Thank you.
Super.
You're here.
Great to hear.
Thank you.
Okay.
Just want to make sure I got that in.
Is there a motion to go into
Best thing we
closed?
did all night.
session pursuant to the following sections of the Open Meeting Act. Section 2C1, Section 2C5, the purchase or lease of real estate, including discussion on whether a certain parcel of property should be acquired. Section 2C6, the setting of a price for sale or lease of property owned by the district. Section 2C8, security procedures and the use of personnel and equipment to respond. Section 2C21, the discussion of minutes lawfully closed. And Section 2C29.
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Bernstein?
Aye.
Commissioner Grossberg?
Aye.
Vice President Ruttenberg?
Aye.
President Kaplan?
Aye. The meeting adjourned at 7:17
Thank you.
p.m.
Thanks, everyone. Michael, sorry about that.
Adjourned into
Brian.
My wife had me going in 3 different directions.
It just says adjourn. Oh.
Congratulations.